for joining us today for our CONNECTpreneur rocket pitch, followed by an exciting and awesome masterclass. Masterclass is called Unleashing Creativity, Mastering Generative AI for Revolutionary Marketing. CONNECTpreneur is a global community of over 25,000 investors, CEOs, entrepreneurs, business leaders, and professional service providers from around the world. Today is our 93rd CONNECTpreneur event overall over the last 12 years. And this is our 42nd virtual CONNECTpreneur rocket pitch event, which is now the largest monthly investor pitch event in the world. Thank you guys for joining us. We've had over 1,100 presenting companies during that time. And our CONNECTpreneur investor network now totals over 4,000 accredited and qualified private investors, angels, family offices who are all interested in investing in awesome deals that they can meet through our CONNECTpreneur community and our events. Hopefully this morning you've already downloaded today's program book. Avery, who's our assistant community manager, will post the link to the program book so that you can download it if you have not already. The program book has information on all of our 7 presenters today, their executive summaries, as well as a list of all the attendees and information from our awesome sponsors. As I mentioned, we have 7 presenting companies today, and after our final presenter, we'll open up breakout rooms for about half an hour. Each one of our 7 breakout rooms will be hosted by one of our 7 presenting companies, and you will be able to enter and leave whichever breakout room you like. Please keep in mind that the purpose of the breakout rooms is for our presenting companies to go deeper with potentially interested investors and partners. Please remember these breakout rooms are hosted by the presenting companies, so please conduct yourselves accordingly. After the breakout room period, we'll then start our masterclass, and that'll be around 12:35 p.m. Eastern time. And we will feature some very experienced instructors from our newest sponsor, Buzzy Rocket. We're really excited about that, so please be sure to stay on after the breakout rooms are closed. This is a meeting, so everybody can see each other and private message with each other. And we also have a group chat, and we ask you to please be respectful and tactful when using the group chat. It's fine to post your LinkedIn and other contact information, as well as a brief introduction, but please do not overload the chat. And unless you're a presenter, please don't post more than 2 or 3 times. Our presenting companies will be posting links to their deck and executive summaries in the group chat, along with registration information for possibly for follow-on investor meetings that they might be hosting in the next few weeks. And also because the group chat has dozens of messages, we recommend that you download your chat transcript before you go into the breakout room so you don't lose anything, and you can read through them afterwards in case people are contacting you and you don't see it, because it does get a little bit overwhelming. Also, we're going to be polling our investors a few times this morning after our 3rd, 5th, and final presenters. These are polls for our investors only. They're confidential. We don't share any information except with our presenting companies, and they will reach back out to you investors. So you get a new follow-on meeting. And the sole benefit, this polling is really for the benefit of our investors and our presenting companies. I'd also like to acknowledge a group of people that, these events don't happen without a lot of support that we have from our ambassadors who've done a great job spreading word about our events worldwide. And also a thank you to our awesome prep team. If you're interested in becoming a CONNECTpreneur ambassador, please do indicate. We have a poll coming up that'll be on there. So if you're interested, please indicate and we'll follow up with you. Today we have 7 total presenters. Each presentation will be about 4 minutes. There's no Q&A. So if you have questions, please reserve those for the breakout room. And of course, if you're an interested investor, please be sure to A, indicate that when we put up the investor poll, and B, stop by the breakout room and get to know the presenter. Presenters today will be introduced by Mark Haas, CEO of AEG, the Association for Enterprise Growth. And I also want to mention that our CONNECTpreneur community also has an awesome YouTube channel. We have over 500 videos on it with our alumni presenters. Please check it out and subscribe. Our community also has a free Slack channel with over 4,200 business leaders on it. You can feel free to join, network with other investors, share information about your events or yourselves, and just use it as a way to stay in touch with other members of our community. And we will be posting links to the Slack channel as well as the YouTube channel throughout the day so you can sign up. Couple of our upcoming events, our next virtual rocket pitch is July 27th. So please mark your calendars now. Registration is open on Eventbrite. It is free. So please sign up and tell your friends and colleagues. We also have an upcoming in-person CONNECTpreneur Forum on the evening of August 3rd at the universities at Shady Grove in Rockville, Maryland, right outside of Washington, D.C. That event will feature an awesome panel of early stage investors, as well as a panel of CEOs discussing some serious workforce issues that are going on in the marketplace. And we will also have a slate of presenters and a bunch of local VIPs. So if you're in the DC area, please come on and join us. Super early bird pricing is available. We'll be posting the links to register on Eventbrite in the chat. As far as sponsorship or presenting, if you're interested, please reach out directly to Skylar. She's our community manager. She's co-host of today's event as well. And we are always looking for high quality presenters to show our community, as well as great sponsors. If we can post our first poll, Sky, this is a poll for sponsors. So if you're interested in receiving some information on our sponsors on these various topics, please indicate as such. I want to read out our sponsors. Our sponsors are listed in the program book. They have done an amazing job. This is the reason why we are doing these events at no cost, because of them. So please be sure to I'd like to thank Next, powered by Shulman Rogers. I'd like to thank the Entrepreneurs Organization, our newest sponsor, Buzzy Rocket. You'll hear from them later at the masterclass. The AEG, Refraction, which is the leading co-working community here in the Washington, D.C. market. This is where we, CONNECTpreneur, have our offices. This is where I'm broadcasting from today. Esther Lee, the CEO, is offering some amazing discounts for CONNECTpreneur community members. I want to thank Keiretsu Forum, Truist Financial, Pitchforce, the Baltimore Angels, Ryan and Wetmore, the Maryland Tech Council, Startup Grind, Georgetown Entrepreneurship, the Northern Virginia Chamber of Commerce, Enterprise Transformation Solutions, Angels and Life Sciences Investors, and the New Jersey Angels, the Center for Advancing Innovation, FITSE, the Dingman Angels, Founder Institute, the annual Wharton DC Summit. They did a great job last week at their annual summit. I want to thank the MIT Alumni Angels, as well as the National Association of Business Owners and Entrepreneurs. These are people that make this event possible. So we will do a second poll for our sponsors at the end, right before we go into breakout rooms. So if you've already participated in this poll, there's no need for you to participate in that poll. So we'll take the poll down now. And let's go ahead and get started. To introduce our presenters, I'd like to introduce longtime CONNECTpreneur partner, Mark Haas. Mark is CEO, co-founder of AEG, which is the DC, Baltimore, and Tampa region's top alliance of elite service provider advisors. AEG is expanding into other markets around the United States. Members include some of the leading business professionals in Washington, Northern Virginia, Baltimore, and Tampa. And I'm personally proud to be an investor in and chair of AEG. Mark is also in fundraise mode. I hope he will be talking about that a little bit and sharing some information to interested investors. Mark, please feel free to give us more details about AEG, and thank you so much for your support of CONNECTpreneur.
Thanks, Tian. Good to see Sky, Avery, Inez, and a lot of familiar faces. If you imagine how hard it is to build a network of people who you can really trust to help you grow and scale your business, you can appreciate having good people on your team. So if you're a business advisor, your clients are looking to you to help them solve their complex problems outside your particular area of expertise. So that's what we've done at AEG. We're building a national ecosystem, excuse me, of business advisors who can help just about anybody in the middle market to grow and scale their business, help them exit. But it also creates a community of people who can rely on each other to help them grow and scale their own business, especially as we potentially move into recession and business gets more and more complicated. Having that network of people is really important. We started in DC, expanded to Baltimore, and now we're starting our national expansion with Tampa. So we'll launch new cities and connect them together. And we're already making connections across cities. So if you're an elite business advisor or a mid-market CEO, want to find out more, certainly reach out to me and I will fill you in. So our first impression is, for over a century, life expectancies have been going up and up and up steadily. And in the last few years, they've started to decline. And that's a concern, not only because of an increasing spike in opioid overdoses, but also poisoning of children who have access to medications, prescription medications at home. So Caring Closures with Zach Molnar is going to tell us how they're going to address that issue.
Thanks, Mark. Good morning, everyone. Thanks, CONNECTpreneur, for having us back. I'm Zach Molnar. I'm the finance head at Caring Closures, or CCI for short. And we're utilizing our platform locking technology to modernize access control, which is one of the most successful public health interventions in history to abate several current public health epidemics. These are really being driven by ease of access to medications and supplements that are driving several deadly and costly public health crises. Sneaking pills from family medicine cabinets is the #1 source for teen drug misuse, with over 700,000 teens initiating drug abuse each year from pilfering, and 90% of abusers start in their teen years, and you have a 70% chance of developing a substance use disorder if you start in your teen years versus after age 17. So early intervention is critical to combating this epidemic. Additionally, a child visits the ER every 8 minutes from a drug or supplement poisoning, which is a 13% increase over the last 2 years. And overall, these issues cost our economy tens of billions of dollars annually. And the underlying cause of these epidemics is that our existing access control measures, child-resistant caps and closures, are over 50 years old and no longer adequate for the dangers of the substances they intend to protect. But our lock-in prescription vials, or LPVs, offer a solution, vastly increasing levels of medication security beyond existing access control measures and abating these issues. So our first product in market is a 4-ring locking vial that has 10,000 potential combinations, providing a barrier to keep controlled substances out of the wrong hands. These are things such as opioids or ADHD medications. Then we have a 2-ring vial that has 100 potential combinations, more than sufficient to keep a small child from accessing the contents, making it ideal for substances that pose significant child mortality risk, such as hormonal medications or statins. And overall, these products encompass a $5 billion market opportunity, as there are 550 million controlled substance prescriptions each year and over 1 billion pediatric fatality medication prescriptions. So LPVs are designed to be used in pharmacy medication dispensing, where pharmacists would fill prescriptions directly into our vials, and the vial code would be code chosen by the patient at the point of dispensing. We're currently pursuing reimbursement from health insurance companies, where payers reimburse pharmacies to dispense medications into our vials, which would be added onto the pharmacy's total reimbursement amount for filling the prescription. So no real change in their processes at all. And the economics to benefits to these stakeholders are really significant. Insurance companies would generate a 390% ROI, and that's generated by the savings related to drug misuse and overdose and avoiding extra hospital usage and addiction treatment. And the expected reimbursement rates to pharmacies will provide a greater than 50% gross margin to them. And as an example of the scale of this benefit for a pharmacy, this would be a $600 million revenue opportunity for CVS for controlled substances alone. So we're turning a cost, which is the current orange vial, into a revenue opportunity. And our vials have already been proven to be effective. In our initial trial results, they showed a 100% reduction in missing medication, where 39% of patients reported medication missing from the regular bottle, and 0% of patients reported medication missing after using our locking vial. In fact, this is driving Ohio to adopt coverage for MAT Medicaid patients starting later this year. So already proving out this and generating business from it. And then we also have additional clinical trials underway, the most important of which is with the Centers for Medicaid or Medicaid Services, or CMS, writing a direct line into Medicare, who's the large market leader in healthcare with over 30% of the market. And our product is really the only one that can be operated within this large-scale dispensing space, as we're 10 times cheaper to make and 6 times easier to use. So we'll be the product of choice for payers given our low cost and for pharmacies given our ease of workflow use. And these advantages are all protected by our IP portfolio of 13 issued and pending patents. And we have the right team in place to execute on this. Milton, our CEO, has had several successful businesses as exits as a CEO. And we have the payer and pharmacy perspectives on our board who agree this is the right path forward. And we have a strong mission-aligned team where everyone has some sort of connection to the opioid epidemic and has a strong personal mission to do what they can to stop it all. We'll generate about $540,000 in revenue this year, and we'll expect to be break even in 2025. Expect to exit in 2028 at about a $600+ million valuation. And we're well ahead of our key inflection points, given we're getting MAT coverage this year and controlled substance coverage starting next year in a couple other states. We do have an open bridge round right now. We have 1 million remaining of the 3 million authorized. We've raised about 2 million. We'll be raising the cap after the next million as we expect to upsize. And then we're in discussions for a larger round later this year with several larger families. We have a dual offering between a note and a safe, and you can see the terms here. Happy to discuss more in the breakout room. But appreciate everyone listening and look forward to seeing everyone in the breakout room. Thanks so much for the time.
Thanks, Zach. It was certainly with greater consumer choice, puts a premium on sort of timely, accurate, and relevant information from the customer experience side. But even with the analytics and data on CRMs that are available, this ultimately comes down to the individual and person and the behavior of those people in the consumer interface. So our next company, Data Games, is going to tell us about how they're going to use gamification to make that experience better. Please welcome CEO Kunal Rakhalkar.
Hey everybody, I'm Kunal. I'm founder and CEO at Data Games. We use artificial intelligence to help enterprises optimize customer experience. We already work with a lot of large enterprises. We got 35,000 active users on the platform. I'm not going to do this presentation on my own. I've got 5 Greek gods. Our patent is based on Aristotle's philosophy. That's our AI model. So the problem, Zeus explains, 81% of customer experience initiatives fail in enterprises. And we have a solution, our Aristotle AI. We got some amazing traction in the market with $3 million in sales already. And we operating in the contact center industry, which is quite large with $30 billion of potential. We have some aggressive growth targets, and we're hoping to get to $200 million in ARR in the next 5 years, organically or through some brand acquisitions. We have all experienced this. Imagine you calling a contact center and you have to wait for a long time. It might be a flight that you're trying to catch. And you get through to somebody who's a clueless agent, or you're trying to talk to a chatbot, which is unengaging and unhelpful, right? All this happens because poorly defined customer experience. Brand consistently define poor customer experience without really understanding what consumers want. And this results in big operational wastages, including $91 billion of operational wastages, or $1.6 trillion in customers leaving the brands and joining other brands because of poor customer experience. And more on this is companies have acquired a lot of digital technologies, artificial intelligence technologies, but they're not getting the return on investment on these existing technologies. And in the world of OpenAI and ChatGPT, we believe not having good customer experience defined would make it harder for enterprises to adopt ChatGPT and OpenAI. Hence our vision, cut waste and deliver true results. Our technology is an enterprise SaaS platform. It's B2B. It's hosted on Microsoft's Azure cloud. The way our technology works is we create a test suite where we create CX failures across, we identify CX failures across digital and human channels. We notify executives, managers on those failures, and also pinpoint how much is the dollar wastage that is happening. And on the human side of things, we actually take that data and get humans to improve their knowledge capabilities through gamified performance management and microlearning. We're operating in contact center industry, but we also want to extend into retail. The potential of generating annual recurring revenue, if we consider 2% of acquisition in the market, is humongous, and we think we can get to $2.9 billion in annual recurring revenue. The industry we are operating in has lots and lots of unicorns. In the last 3 years, you might have heard of unicorns like Unifor, UiPath, Sierra. We want to definitely follow on their footsteps. But what makes us unique is there are testing companies who are testing only the digital experience. We also bringing human experience along with digital experience in order to improve productivity and customer experience for the organizations. We have an excellent team of veterans from contact center industry and data industry. We have almost 200 plus years of experience in the industry. We got 21 strong engineering team, and we're growing very fast. We're looking to raise $3.8 million. We have already raised $2.1 million in our previous rounds. The round is for us to accelerate our sales and do some product growth. We expect to give you 20x returns. Our previous investors who have invested in us in 2 years have already seen 6 to 7x improvement on the valuations. So please don't say no to investment, otherwise you will anger Zeus. So reach out to us in breakout rooms and look forward to any questions. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Great investment opportunities come with the intersection of emerging major trends. Our next presenter faces two of them. One is the increasing demand for mental health services, both from the effects of the pandemic and the reduction in stigma of seeking mental health care. Leaves about half the population in areas where mental health is not available. And the second is, like many professionals, mental health care providers can certainly use a better sense and practices in running their business. So our next company is Fireside Strategic, and CEO Dan King is going to tell us how they're going to help that process.
Hello, everyone. Dan King here. Fireside Strategic is a roll-up in the mental health space. We're able to buy practices for between 3 to 5x EBITDA, solve their major problems, and aim to generate a 9 to 12x return for our investors while doing some social good at the same time, looking to raise $3 million for 43% equity. So the big problems in psychotherapy, like Mark said, demand is crazy high. The pandemic dramatically reduced the stigma on getting mental health, but prices haven't increased. And a big reason is that therapists hate to renegotiate their health plan pricing. We can do it. Now, underpriced therapists need to see too many clients. The work is really intense emotionally, so they end up burning out. Clients get poorer and poorer results. Those results aren't measured. We end up with really toxic cultures and very disorganized operational systems, terrible non-merit-based hiring, and an inability to follow up on accounts receivable. Our solutions are twofold. Number one, we're going to focus on picking what we call the low-hanging financial fruit. It's a 3-step plan of renegotiating health plan pricing upwards, solving the big AR issues, and bringing in higher margin lines of business like TMS. Our team has executed on all of this successfully in the past. And then number two, we're going to fix these chaotic cultures. We stand for a set of values that are polarizing in the industry, which, beyond being what we believe, is a great way to attract sellers that are aligned and repel those that are not. We stand for higher pricing. We stand for mental health beyond just talk therapy. So we stand for innovation, like TMS and psychedelics, and we stand for ending the culture of burnout. Our team is 6 people, but the core sort of 3 most important to highlight are number one, me. I bring a background in corporate law, executive coaching and culture, and high-level sales. Lindsay, to my right, who will be joining us in the breakout room, is one of the rare therapists with a ton of business savvy. She was able to build her practice from scratch to the multi-7 figures. She still owns it, but it's run almost entirely without her day-to-day involvement today because she's excellent at hiring and building great systems. And then to her right is Dr. Michael. He is one of the nation's leading experts in this business. He built Massachusetts' largest ever practice by revenue, sold it to a large PE fund, which then hired him to run their acquisitions in the Northeast, which he did very successfully. And what he was able to do there was solve one of the biggest problems, probably the biggest problem we need to solve, which is the therapist retention issue. When we acquire a practice, we get the therapists. This is important because there's a labor shortage right now. We want to be sure to build a great culture to retain them. So we really want to look for practices with low turnover rates, and we want to build a great culture. Traction achieved so far. We have, since raising our seed round just a few months ago, got an LOI on a practice at a 4x EBITDA price. We've got a great team, as you can see, and we've got a pipeline of practices we're very excited about, looking to raise remaining $3 million on a minimum buy-in of $100K. The financials, so the typical practice that we're looking at is just below 600 in EBITDA. just above 3 million in revenue. We implement that growth plan I talked about at the beginning of increasing insurance prices, bringing in higher margin lines of business and collecting AR. We estimate about a 25% revenue boost in the first year and a 37% EBITDA boost. Over the course of 5 years, we're looking at practices averaging about 13% top line growth. And over the course of 5 years, we do this for 5 practices with a 20 to 80 debt equity financing split, and we can get to an EBITDA of around 7 million. With an EBITDA of about 4 million, multiples research currently suggests that we can sell for between 10 to 13x. So we take the midpoint assumption there and look at about a 10.5x return for our investors. Worth noting that if we're unable to increase the rate of growth of practices, so most grow at about 5%, the ones we look at without us, we can still aim for about a 4 to 6x exit. With that said, I'd be delighted to take your questions in the breakout room. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you so much, Dan. Let's put up our first investor poll, please. This is for investors only. So if you're not an investor, please reserve your feedback for the breakout rooms. As a reminder, we have 7 presenting companies today. We've had our first 3 go already. We will do 2 more polls after this one. We'll do one after the 5th presenter as well as the 7th presenter. But for this poll, we have Caring Closures International, Data Games, and Fireside Strategic. Again, these are confidential polls. We're not going to share any information except with the presenting companies themselves. But we are going into breakout rooms after our last presenter. And after the breakout rooms, we will then have a masterclass roughly around 12:30 on using generative AI for marketing. So if you are an investor, please indicate your interest. I still see results coming in. Caring Closures, that was Zach. Transforming public health and consumer product safety using proven access control measures across a broad range of products. We have Data Games, AI-driven customer experience testing company that aims to fully execute on a patent to unlock great customer experience by streamlining people, process, and technology. And Fireside Strategic, they're doing roll-ups of mental health practices, and there's a good financial arbitrage in what they're doing. So we'll leave the poll up for maybe another 10 seconds. Last call for investors. Okay, I guess we can close that, and I'll turn it back over to Mark, and Mark will introduce our next 2 presenters, and then we'll do another poll after that. Mark.
Great, thanks. You'd think with 19,000 prescription drugs and about 2,600 pharma companies, every possible condition is taken care of, but not every condition is currently addressed. And certainly when there are new diseases, new types of infections rolling out, there's a need for more innovation in the drug development space. So our next presenter, Scott McClure, who's the CEO of Maxwell Biosciences, is going to tell us about their technology to bring to market more broad spectrum drug candidates.
Thanks so much. As I was introduced, my name is Scott McClure. I'm a CEO with over 20 years of experience. Maxwell Biosciences is backed by over $40 million in government-sponsored research grants and awards and $13 million in venture stage investment. We have a long list of pedigreed investors. More information upon CDA and talking with us later. Good example is David Shaw, one of the former partners at Venrock, Alex Dreyfus, who funded the Dreyfus Building, and Thomas Boone Pickens from the famous oil family in Texas, founder of the Astrotech Corporation. A lot of acknowledgements here, University of Texas, Stanford, NYU, and the Department of Defense. DARPA called this a synthetic immune system. So it's very well certified and confirmed. We have scientific consensus that this actually does work in mammals. So infectious disease today is viruses, bacteria, and fungi. Pandemics and chronic disease often combine all 3, and there's just not very good tools for any of them, including antibiotic resistance for antibiotics. And vaccines, as we know, the variants evolve much faster than the vaccine does. Doctor says there's nothing that we can do. We've seen this over and over again. I saw that with my daughter. I saw it with my father. Both were in the ICU at the same time in different hospitals. I had to quit my job and work really hard to see if I could save their lives. I was successful, and that amount of love and grief motivated me to extreme action. I ended up buying the patent on a compound that was invented by a Stanford bioengineer that mimics the key immune molecule of the human immune system that was originally funded by the DARPA Synthetic Immune System program. And you can see here what we've developed over the past 8 years. No adverse effect on the gut microbiome, effective against biofilms, viruses, bacteria, all escape pathogens, which are all the nasty ones, all of the bad ones that are resistant to antibiotics and fungi. This is not an antibiotic. It's not an antiviral, and it's not an antifungal. It is a mimic of your own human immune system peptide. So NIH, Fauci's team, when he was still there, funded a study that showed that we would be able to completely prevent COVID in the gold standard animal models, Syrian hamsters. You can see that the untreated ones got very sick and the treated ones got better. And not only that, but we were able to prevent the disease state itself. We're also effective against Ebola, and you can see out here at the highest dose, 100 micrograms per milliliter, which is 1,000,000 parts, right? It's a millionth of a dose. That is a tiny, it's 100 millionths, right? So that's still a very tiny dose, but at the highest dose, we were able to completely prevent replication. Even at 20 micrograms per milliliter, we were able to, this would likely save someone's life. This is the only compound in existence that is safe and also pan-coronavirus. This is at 1,000,000,000th parts. And it's also pan-influenza, pan-herpes, pan-hepatitis, and I also mentioned the Ebola, but also Zika, chikungunya, rhinovirus, respiratory RSV, which we've heard a lot in children lately. This is incredible. It is truly a mimic of the human immune system. So we know how viruses evolve and spread, and these are the most dangerous ones. We're effective against all of those. We know that antibiotic resistance pollution is everywhere. It's in our crops, it's in our food, it's in our groundwater, it's everywhere. This will eventually wipe out our species if we don't get rid of antibiotics completely. We have to get rid of antibiotics, and we have a compound that can replace all antibiotics, a $45 billion market opportunity. The current pandemic is fungal, according to Johns Hopkins. So black fungus is what actually kills you with COVID, not the virus. So the virus weakens your immune system, and this black mucor fungus comes in and kills you. So what would it take to replace the bulk of antibiotics in humans and livestock? A new mechanism of action has to be effective against all tested bacteria, safe, non-toxic, massively scalable, and less expensive to manufacture by at least 1/2, and no cold chain required. We have all of those things in one compound, MXB 22510, and we have lots of other compounds that are better at certain things. We own all of our patent, which is absolutely key for making this very affordable to be able to compete with generic antibiotic. In addition, we also have the FDA Qualified Infectious Disease Product Program under the GAIN Act, which is a congressional act that gives us 12 years of monopoly at $6 billion per year. So that's a $72 billion conservative revenue opportunity. We have the former head of R&D for Shire Pharmaceuticals, and he brought his team with him from Shire. So you'd be taking a bet on Shire's R&D team that was responsible for over $30 billion in revenue and over 100 drugs brought to market successfully through the FDA. This team right here has a 100% success rate through the FDA. They have never had a failure. We're going up against our strategic lead indication. It's a beachhead indication for which there are 28,000 deaths per year, and this is chronic sinusitis. So the infection comes up through the sinuses, very, very painful. You can see that here, the gathering of the fluids and such, and then this is what the FDA looks for. This is the primary endpoint, and then does the patient feel better? So that's what we have to do right there, that CT scan. This is the way the pathogens enter through the sinuses, cause all kinds of problems in the brain, all of these other indications. We also come up through the nose, through this nasal spray, take out these infections and knock out the inflammation and the pain. And 30% of that compound gets up into the brain very safely and helps the patient in our studies. So total TAM here, not just in chronic sinusitis, but all antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal, and veterinary infections. We have 3 partnerships with publicly traded pharmaceutical companies within the livestock industry, $200 billion in 5 years. This is our pipeline report here: chronic sinusitis, post-viral syndrome, going after long COVID, infectious dementia, Epstein-Barr, brain fungal infections. We just brought on Major General Barb Holcomb to head up our biodefense unit, which is called Project Anubis, working with the DoD. This is where our clinical safety and clinical efficacy milestones are going to be next year, right here. So your payoff is right around the corner, and it's headed up by this team here. It came over from Shire, 100% FDA success rate. So this is our exit opportunity right here, just a couple of years out, not like a usual biotech opportunity where you're going to have 7 to 9 years. This is 2 years out. We're raising for our Series A right now. The first part of that tranche is $20 million on a convertible note, which we're filling really quickly. So as soon as we fill that $20 million note, there is a $30 million commitment that will immediately kick in. So that'll be $50 million covered out of this $95 million raise. We'll only need to raise just a little bit more. We're in London right now. We just came in from Dubai. We talked with the Saudis, with the United Arab Emirates, and we're talking with some extremely high net worth individuals and family offices.
Thanks, Scotch. Our next presenter is Mike Moore, the CEO of MedWatch Technologies. We'll be talking about diabetes. And given that 1 in 3 people have diabetes and almost all of them don't know, 1 of 4 of the people on this call are going to get diabetes. So being able to monitor the treatment and conditions is really important. So Mike, tell us what you've got.
Thank you so much for the introduction. So MedWatch Technologies is a Delaware C Corp. I'm sure everybody on this call knows somebody that has diabetes. You may even have diabetes yourself. Nobody likes to prick their fingers. It's painful, it's inconvenient, it's expensive. And because nobody likes to prick their fingers, it leads to poor health consequences. If you don't monitor your diabetes, it's going to get out of control. The main players for continuous glucose monitoring solutions are Dexcom and Freestyle Libre. Those devices last 10 to 14 days, then you throw them away and they can't be repositioned. They both have needles, a sensor, or a filament that's in you all the time. And MedWatch is developing our non-invasive solution that's currently in clinical trials. So it's non-invasive, affordable, long-lasting, pain-free, as you see, convenient, very easy to use. This device will last a year, but you have to recharge it roughly every 2 weeks. It's as easy as putting on as a bandage. As you see the illustration there, the device fits into the insert on the adhesive, and you put it on, and it's as simple as that, and it's paired to your app. So in the United States, 37 million people have diabetes, over 100 million have diabetes or prediabetes. Globally, over 500 million people have diabetes alone. With diabetes and prediabetes, it's well over 1 billion people. We've got a world-class team. Sam Zaidspinner, our Chief Operating Officer, he's actually on the call. He will join us in the breakout room. But I'd like to point out Dr. Kevin Kapoff and Dr. Jared Jones. They oversaw Dexcom's G6 clinical trial for Optum. So the team has really deep experience. I'm happy to tell you more about the team when I see you in the breakout room. So again, we have a working prototype that's agnostic to skin pigmentation. So whether you're very light-skinned or Nubian, it should work for you, no problem. So we have a patent that we've licensed, and we've licensed the continuations from all that patent. We have 3 patents filed. We've got well over 100 patents we've identified in our pipeline, and we're hoping to file at least 50 patents in the next year. We've completed a friends and family round of $1 million. So we're currently doing a $3 million pre-seed round, which 800,000 of that is in. And we've got commitments for well over $1 million. In fact, I think we'll have data in a couple of weeks here, and we'll close out that round. We are currently in clinical trials. We have 4 back-to-back trials lined up. We anticipate the trials being complete at the end of February of next year and receiving FDA clearance at the end of next year. Our sales estimates are extremely conservative. Our first year after FDA approval, which is in 2025, we're estimating at 50,000 units. We already have soft commitments for 17,000 units, and we've hardly started. Very conservative projections, and our third year on the market, 2027, 294 million in revenue with a 6x multiple, which is extremely conservative. We're a $1.7 billion company, and an investor that comes in now is looking at potentially a 30x return. And I anticipate multiples being significantly higher. I've had some M&A folks tell me it should be in excess of 40 or 45. So again, we're raising the capital for our clinical trials. We are in trials, the 4 trials. The last one that will lead to FDA approval or clearance will have 160 participants, and I'm happy to go into all those details in the breakout room. And it will use capital to fund operations. And we have our FDA pre-submission meeting coming up here shortly. Fantastic team. So we anticipate being first to market at the end of 2024, and that's a fantastic accomplishment, being a first mover. So I look forward to talking to everybody in the breakout room. Thank you so much for your time.
Great. Thank you guys so much, Mike and Scotch. Let's put up our next investor poll. This is just for the last 2 presenters. That would be Maxwell and MedWatch. So Scotch mentioned Maxwell is a drug discovery platform introducing next-gen anti-infectives to treat infective pathogens. Great presentation there. And MedWatch as well, Mike. Med device and SaaS manufacturer delivering a non-invasive continuous glucose monitoring device and health management platform. So both companies super promising, both alumni of ours, and this is for investors only, confidential. We will not share the information with anyone but our presenting companies. Just want to take a moment and say that we have 2 more presenters left, and we will do breakout rooms after that. The breakout rooms will be open for roughly half an hour or so, after which we will do our master class, which will be on using generative AI for marketing. And that's going to be a real exciting one. It's being instructed by our newest sponsor, Buzzy Rocket. And hopefully you guys will enjoy that one as well. Also, just as a reminder, before you go into breakout rooms, you want to download your chat history and read it later in case you've been getting private messages. So please remember to do that. And with that, why don't we last call for investors. I see some additional investor interest coming in. Okay, last call for investors. All right, well, thank you guys for participating. I'll turn it back over to Mark, who will introduce our last 2 presenters. Mark.
Great. Not our last, but our next presenter is Liam Thurman, the founder of ScheduGame. There we go. So with 3 billion gamers and change in demographics and mobile and getting younger, social isolation of gamers is a big issue. And so ScheduGame is really trying to find a way to empower gamers to overcome that social isolation. Liam?
Thank you so much for the introduction. ScheduGame's mission is to empower gamers to overcome social isolation by fostering meaningful, lasting, and impactful connections. ScheduGame was born from a frustration that I experienced when trying to find the right gaming connections. This led to stress, frustration, and a feeling that I was wasting time rather than receiving the happiness and joy of playing the games I loved with people who I shared a high-quality connection with. Today's gamers also desire a connection with like-minded players, and current solutions do not produce meaningful, long-lasting connections or high-quality social relationships. In fact, 77% of gamers report the desire to play multiplayer games, while 63% of people report the lack of high-quality social relationships as being an issue for them. This means that a good portion of the gamers who want to game with others are also experiencing a lack of high-quality social relationships. To solve this problem, we've developed a gamer-first solution that leads users to establishing meaningful, impactful, and lasting connections with other gamers. From a technology perspective, we have a powerful, data-backed algorithm ensuring the highest quality connections for all of our users. So how does Schedule Game work? Each user starts by creating a profile. They add in their interests, their schedule, and other important connecting factors, and then they immediately start interacting and connecting with other users. With Schedule Game, the user has an experience that resonates with them. This means they spend more time in the app, and they think of Schedule Game first when looking to connect with other gamers. When it comes to the market opportunity, there is a market potential of 1.5 billion gamers who need the solution we provide and may have the desire to pay for it. From those users, we project that 3.5% would be willing to pay for it, and that the yearly value of each paid user is $100. That gives us a global market opportunity of $5.24 billion per year. Schedule Game does have competition. However, we are a better solution for gamers because we are focusing not only on the quality of their connections, but we are also helping many gamers
And now?
social isolation and loneliness. Schedule Game is currently available for download on the iOS App Store. We have over 600 downloads who are our beta users, and we also already have 35-star reviews on the App Store. The Schedule Game team is poised to take this company to the next level. We have a combined 76 years of gaming experience, 8 startups founded, and 57 years of tech industry experience. We chose to go with a freemium business model based on an industry standard average 3.5% conversion rate from a free account to a $10 per month account with a long-term value of $200 per paid user and a customer acquisition cost of $5.28 per user, regardless of whether they are a paid user or a free user. To date, Schedule Game has raised $128,000, and we are asking for $500,000 for our current pre-seed round. We will be using this funding on product development, user acquisition, and operational expenses. I will see you in the breakout room. Thank you so much.
In the $200,000 years that we've been using adhesives, anybody who goes into Home Depot realizes there are lots of different ones. So our next presenter, Dean Van Sale, is going to tell us about their company, National Adhesive Inc. They're a national marketing and distribution company for adhesives.
Yeah, and thank you very much. And I apologize for that, everybody. So I'm sure that everyone has walked down the adhesive and sealant aisle and has been as confused as I was. I mean, the idea of making it easy to find the right products was born while I was walking down Home Depot's aisle, trying to figure out which was the right cork for me. After selling a brand of adhesives and sealants in my own company back in Africa, I knew I could do this better. So licensing the DuPont's 50-year-old Great Stuff brand allowed us to introduce and break into new categories with this dominating brand. Great Stuff Foam Sealant currently sells more than 60 cans a minute and has more off-shelf placement in Home Depot than any other brand or product in the store. So most associates can't really help in this very noisy and stale category. So how are you supposed to navigate your way around and know that you're choosing the right product for the job? The amount of general adhesives that claim to do it all, it's frustrating, and more than likely, you're not going to be able to get the correct glue for the job, or it's easier just to call in an expensive contractor. So how do we address this low consumer education? Well, our AI platform will help you choose the correct product for the job, removing guesswork, and then teach you how to use it correctly. Accessible through QR codes on the products, web search, or social media, we eliminate the guesswork through asking prompted questions to suggest the correct product for you. On top of this, we'll be introducing more first-to-market products in the next 18 months than our 2 largest competitors have done combined in the last 10 years. So in a multi-billion-dollar market, we're aiming at attaining approximately 2% of $1 billion opportunity in an ever-growing category before a full exit. This is currently only on our focused customer base and product lines, leaving opportunity for further and future growth. So by introducing AI technology combined with the DuPont Great Stuff brand licensing and pairing up with new innovative chemical manufacturers completely differentiates us from all of the other brands in this boring category. We have all major retail buyers excited for the new products and platform we are bringing to an otherwise stale market. Our main direct competitors have been doing the same things for years, and due to the high barrier of entry to this market, don't defend their categories as well as they should. So we have already onboarded numerous retailers like national rollout with Menards, online with Home Depot and Lowe's, Amazon, Walmart, and now Advanced Auto Parts as well. There's several distributors like Ace, Orgral, Midstates, with more customers wanting us to bring the new Great Stuff lines to them due to the success that they have had with the brand over the last 5 decades in its current category. To use their words, it's a no-brainer. So in conjunction with several exclusive supply agreements with some of the largest manufacturers in the world like DuPont, Bostik, and Japan's largest adhesive manufacturer, Semidyne, we are bringing both Me Too adhesives and new innovative or green products to a consumer through these various channels. So with over 300 years, more than 15 raises, 25 acquisitions, and 10 exits combined, our leadership is equipped to see the company grow with additional industry experts wanting to join us. Our advisory board is led by the ex-CFO of the international public company, WD-40. Our revenue model is built around monthly replenishment orders from both retailers and distributors in conjunction with e-commerce sales, all help with major related platforms to help increase cash flow. After initial proof of concept at the end of last year, we are ready to start accelerated growth and take on the opportunities that are available to us, making us profitable by the end of the year. Projections are conservative and done in conjunction with retailers. So after self-funding, we are now raising $2 million with $600,000 already committed, closing before the end of July. This is to bridge the gap to profitability and a secured $15 million line of credit, which closes at the end of the year. We're offering an attractive upsell in either equity or short-term debt and working towards a full exit. Thank you very much. I look forward to answering your questions in the break room, and apology for the tech dropout.
Let's go ahead and put our final investor poll up. This will be for our last 2 presenters. Schedule Game went first, and then National Adhesive. Obviously, Schedule Game is a mobile application that allows gamers to find deep, meaningful, and impactful connections in gaming. And National Adhesive, leveraging DuPont's Great Stuff brand in a multi-billion-dollar adhesive and sealant industry based on consumer demand. So after this is for investors only, we will keep this confidential and share the indication of interest with our presenting companies only. We will then have our second poll for our sponsors right after this poll, and then we'll go into breakout rooms for about a half an hour or so. I still see investor indications coming in. Thank you guys for participating. Also, these breakout rooms are run by our presenting companies, so you can feel free to ask questions and go deeper with them if you'd like. We do have our masterclass after the breakout rooms close. We're estimating it'll be around 12:35 to 12:40 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you're on for that. That's by Buzzy Rocket. It'll be about using generative artificial intelligence for marketing purposes. As you guys know, that's the hottest thing in technology right now, and people are trying to figure out the best way to leverage their businesses. Anyway, let's end this poll and put up our final sponsor poll for a minute or so. So for those of you guys who have participated in this already, no need to participate again. But again, we want to support all of our awesome sponsors, and we have sponsors in marketing, legal, application, software development, digital transformation, accounting and tax, insurance, wealth management, and financial planning, estate planning. So yeah, just indicate on here, this confidential poll will just have our sponsors or us will follow up. You know, we have an opportunity if you're interested in presenting or sponsoring our events or joining our ambassador program. Skylar, our community manager, will be following up with you on that. So we'll keep this open for another 10 seconds or so. And last call for any sponsor results before we open up the breakout rooms. Just as a reminder, make sure you download your chat history before you go into the breakout rooms because you don't want to lose what's in it. But we'll go ahead and end the poll, and let's go ahead and we'll open up the breakout rooms too. And you guys are be able to go in and out of whichever breakout rooms you'd like. So thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you in about a half an hour for our masterclass. And yeah, go ahead and I think the rooms are open, so you can go ahead and go meet the presenters. Thank you guys.